Well done, soldier. I'll open the main pressure gate. Then prepare your eyes for a feast of controlled pyro combustion.
I think I should watch this from a distance.
If you insist, you got 10 seconds.
Oh wait, I just remembered what quest this was.
3, 2,
Oh no.
1. Ignition! Behold the satanic inferno of the apocalypse war!
There it is.
What the hell was that?
It's January of 2025, and that means one thing. Somehow, Dying Light is turning 10 years old. I really hate to be one of those cliche video essay guys who makes videos saying they just don't make them like they used to. But going back to play Dying Light a decade on from its release has made me realize again just how special a game this is. Playing it in a lot of ways reminded me of Super Mario 64 because even if some parts of it feel janky or don't look quite right, well, that's not right. It still plays so goddamn well, and it doesn't feel like it's aged a day. As much as I can shower this game in praise for how it holds up today, people forget that Dying Light should never have been as popular as it was. It came out of nowhere for most people, and its release date made them certain it would be a flop. Dying Light launched on January 26th, 2015, and everyone watched on thinking this was a train wreck release waiting to happen. After all, no one had any money to spend at this time of year, and everyone was so busy playing last year's games they got for Christmas that there was no room for a brand new IP to get any attention. But there was another side to the coin that no one thought about. Dying Light was an online co-op game in an age where online co-op was blossoming because of how streamlined the PS4 and Xbox One made it. But in January of 2015, it had no competition, and that actually gave people the chance to experience it on their new consoles.
So I don't know where to get dolls from. I think it's a dead end.
I don't really know.
It's meant to be in a lake.
Turn up there.
Oh shit! I know where the dolls is.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Oh, I died.
This worked in Techland's favour to such a degree that the studio announced by March that their game had sold 4.5 million units, and it would go on to be one of 2015's best-selling video games, almost single-handedly boosting new software sales for the entire games industry by 6% in January versus the previous year. And now, here we are, 10 years and a sequel later, and people are still playing Dying Light. In fact, it has a similar concurrent player count to Dying Light 2 on Steam, and Techland put out a plea for its players to nominate it for Steam's Labour of Love award in 2024. This game was supposed to be a holdover for Dead Island 2 hype when it launched, and I know which of those two games ended up as a genre touchstone. So what is it about this now decade-old game that's captured the hearts of so many players? Well, for starters, I think its setting has a lot to do with its staying power. My God, zombies need to stop falling from the fucking heavens out here. The best way I can describe the setting of Dying Light is by saying that it's not really an open world. It's the perfect zombie apocalypse playground, and even a decade later, it is still one of my favourite video game settings. When we arrive in the city of Harran, it's been under quarantine for around 2 months. A virus, which we later learn is a developed strain of rabies, has broken out in the region, wreaking havoc on the population. We play as Kyle Crane, an agent for the global relief effort, and we're here to assess the survivor situation. With few ways to develop a cure cure or study the virus, the local government's Ministry of Defense is planning to level the city to stop the Harran virus from breaking out worldwide. But they don't seem to realize that more survivors remain than the outside world knows of. Get out of the way, sir. You're blocking the door! I really love the visuals of Harran. If you dropped me into it without telling me it was a city suffering from a zombie virus, I'd still be able to tell you that something wasn't right because the place itself looks unwell. Whenever you admire a view over the city, you'll be met with this overstimulating, perpetual motion. There are clouds of bugs and birds flying around, plumes of smoke hang in the distance, wind blows, dust floats, the air just feels so thick and gross, like it's carrying this dead weight. And yet, if you look past all of those things, there's real beauty to Harran's environments and vistas, with landscapes that would give any modern video game a run for its money, and nothing encapsulates that more than the completely different vibes the game gives from its 2 open world maps. Just when you've played enough of Dying Light to think that the slums is the entire playable area, Techland pulls the rug out from under you by opening you up to a completely different side of the city. Old Town is this densely populated, wealthy area that's bursting with colour, which completely contrasts the suburban areas of the slums that honestly could have looked just as run down before the outbreak. Old Town is the city Harran wants to be known as. There are hotels, roof gardens, culture and history. The slums is the neglected phantom limb of the city, where victims of the virus never really mattered because local governments didn't care about the people there to begin with. I do have to say, for a game that's celebrating 10 years on the shelves, Dying Light really does hold up visually. Maybe I'm biased because I just played it for the first time on a PC with a high frame rate, but the visuals really are perfect for this game. They have this grit and sharpness to them without treading into the territory of games that take themselves too seriously. There are soft textures in places, and character models are clearly not trying to be photorealistic. At the same time, the lighting in darker areas really helps the game transition from a goofy open world during the day to downright zombie horror experience by night. Look at that fog. Oh my god. I'm slightly terrified right now. And for how well visualized Dying Light's world is, all of that takes a back seat to how well designed Harran is as a place to play. It feels like a sandbox designed primarily for you, a player of a video game, to run around in. Now, that could easily be a criticism, but the game's theming does enough for it to get by. It might take people out of a game to see a perfect ramp conveniently placed next to a wall, or fences that have been bent out of shape so you can easily jump into safe areas. But after 2 months of the runners making life-threatening parkour trips into the city, these feel like predetermined safe routes that they've been using. Oh my god, that's a mean 1-2 combo. Another thing I love about Harran is its size. So many games today think that to offer players a great single-player experience, they need to be bigger than what came before, and to be honest, I think that's a trap that Dying Light 2 fell into as well. Dying Light's districts are big enough that they feel like a full-scale city when you run across them, but they're also not big enough that escorting an NPC across them feels like a chore. Help me! What are you doing? Yo, you better not go in there. No, I'm serious. There are limits to how far this goes. It's dangerous in there. And don't get me started on the landmarks. The Infamy Bridge might just be one of my favourite video game locations because it towers over everything else in the slums, marking the edge of the quarantine zone. But it actually serves a purpose to the gameplay as well. Since it's where a lot of survivors would have been treated, there are tents upon tents full of medical supplies for you to scavenge. Finding medical supplies in the first few hours of this game is actually really tricky, but as soon as you discover the bridge, edge, it might as well be a big arrow that says, free run this way for more medkits than you'll ever need. The tower that serves as your hideout peaks above the other buildings in a similar way. It makes sense as a safe haven for survivors to hole up in, but when you're out and about, it's an easy landmark to spot so that you know where to turn in without looking at a map.
I'll take this.
Farewell, my friend, and may the fish be with you, always.
That's not a thing people say. There's another part of Dying Light that I think has helped it age like a fine wine, and that's its charm. Sometimes the best games really aren't the most polished, perfectly coded AAA masterpieces. Sometimes they're the ones that embrace jank. These games know that through slight imperfections, emergent moments of gold dust are born.
No! Oh, you kicked this one inside. Hey.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Hey! Get out of here!
For me, all of Dying Light's weirdest parts are what give it so much character. Like how Harran is supposed to be somewhere in Turkey, I guess, but for some reason all of its voice actors cannot decide where they're from, sometimes not even fitting the tone of the game in the slightest.
Our eyes has lost his moral compass, free to inflict his brand of sadistic lunacy on the populace of Harran.
So Rice's beef with the GRE, you're saying he's justified?
I do not excuse him. He's a vicious gangster, a blight on this city. I merely wanted to help you understand the enemy you will surely face.
Understood. Thanks.
The way this guy talks, he's like my fucking spirit guide. It'd be easy to think that a lot of Dying Light's writing is cliche and its mission design is just copy and pasted from Far Cry, because God knows its villain kind of is.
Chaos, Crane. Chaos is the one true order of things.
Did I ever tell you the
Otherwise, it's the
definition of
sheerest
insanity?
folly.
But the devil's in the details for me, and something I really appreciated in my most recent playthrough is how much care was taken with each quest-giving NPC. For instance, you go on a pretty standard fetch quest for this guy, who has one of the boldest mustaches this side of the 80s. He wants you to go and collect his glasses, as well as a book about gardening so that he and a few other survivors can start growing vegetables on the roof. Soon after doing this for him, I had to go up to the roof for another mission, and there he was. Gloriously mustached, wearing his glasses, and growing vegetables for everyone to eat. Oh, he's growing his vegetables. Look at that. He's actually fucking doing the thing. That's a nice detail. I like that. The side quests in Dying Light are, on the whole, such a mixed bag of weird encounters, but they're actually designed and written so well that they feel worth your time, which I wish I could say for more open world games today. There isn't a Dying Light playthrough for me where I don't visit Rupert the Gunsmith, because the reward his side quest spits out is a blueprint called Angel Sword, and it's easily the most useful for any weapon in the game. Fair enough, bro. But I always forget that he's pretending to be a wizard because he's looking after a bunch of kids. So when he asks me to fight a troll, it really shouldn't surprise me anymore that I'm actually going to fight a demolisher. And of course, who can forget Tolga and Fatine, who just bully you from the word go? There's a witch who asks you to collect shrooms for her. There's a guy who plays music super loudly in Old Town because he's high on something. There's a guy called Shakur who wears a gas mask at all times.
My precious clean air. Now I can breathe again.
You're a weird guy, Shakur. Dying Light isn't afraid to get a bit weird, and that's actually made it age better than games that take themselves too seriously. Oh my god, I cleft her in twain. How do you talk about Dying Light without mentioning its incredible, and I do mean incredible, progression? At the beginning of Dying Light, you are quite literally an average Joe. Kyle Crane is supposed to be a trained GRE operative. He parachutes into Harran, and you think, wow, this guy must have some special ops training or something, but then he gasses out after a 30-second jog. Luckily, within a few hours, you start gaining these abilities that make the game immediately more fun. I'm usually the sort of person who forgets that I have upgrade points to spend, but in Dying Light, I am always aiming for a certain reward I've seen on the tree, so I will buy something as soon as I get the points to spend. How common is that these days? Because of today's live service model being all about getting players to keep grinding away before giving them anything they actually want, so many skill trees have stopgaps that feel unrewarding to climb up. You get 3 or 4 abilities you actually want, but they're locked behind 6 skills that you don't actually have any desire for. Purposeless Rabbit Hole said it best in his video about Dying Light when he said that by the end of the game, you have essentially become zombie apocalypse Batman.
Kill him.
Matrix. And Kyle Crane. Oh, he cut his hand off! I always forget that that happened. You have the ultimate set of tools for every situation. When you unlock the grappling hook, nothing is more game-changing. Except maybe the first time you try using the bow. I'm dropping you, friends. Yeah, that's right, back away. Crane doesn't really have any way to be stealthy, so it's a massive win when you can finally rub zombie guts all over you and blend in. Although, I really wish the sound effect for it wasn't so gross. There are just so many abilities in Dying Light that feel OP, and that's not a bad thing. A single-player game doesn't need to be balanced like a multiplayer game does. Creating a power trip set of abilities is a good thing in a game like this because it makes the experience feel like it's leading somewhere, and like the time you've invested in it is worth it. In other words, there is actually a sense of progression in Dying Light. So many single-player games misunderstand that these days, and even PvE games like Helldivers 2 get tripped up by trying to balance everything all the time. Dying Light even blends its gameplay progression into its narrative, like Kyle Crane's canon ability to snap the neck of any main character and just deny responsibility. Here it comes!
It's me!
It's the patented Kyle Crane neck snap!
A few moments later.
Bracken. Raheem's dead.
Raheem's dead? That's not exactly what happened, is it? You snapped his neck like a twig? It often surprises people when I tell them this, but for an era that brought us titles like Red Dead Redemption 2, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, and The Witcher 3, Dying Light was still my game of the generation from the PS4 era. It isn't the perfect masterpiece some of those other games are. It is, in pure, unadulterated form, the perfect video game because it focuses on being fun above everything else. It takes a well-known premise and it leans into cliché while perfecting gameplay formulas laid down by Far Cry and Mirror's Edge. It fills its world with charm and great places to explore, and it isn't afraid of embracing jank. It feels rewarding to play, either as a solo or with friends. And it has one of the best DLCs that's ever been made for a single-player game, and I haven't even mentioned it in this video. Dying Light is an absolute blast, and one that I bet I will keep coming back to for the next 10 years to come. But then again, maybe that's just me. We all have those games that just refuse to get stale for us, so what about you? If you've made it this far, I would love to know what your favorite game of the last 10 years is, so tell me down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching my first video of 2025. Last year was my biggest on YouTube by far, and I have loads of plans for the next 12 months. If you want to keep up with me and what I'm working on, I have a Discord server which is linked in the description below, so come on in and say hi. Thanks again so much for watching this, and if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button so other people can find it too. All the best, and tune in next time.